And good afternoon. You're flying the very unfriendly skies with Tironan, and today we have a treat for you. This is my brand new MiG-9. Now, it's an interesting aircraft for a number of reasons. It was another transitional aircraft. The engines that come with the aircraft to start are reverse engineered BMW 003s that were used on the Messerschmitt 262 briefly before they went to the BMW 004. These were reverse engineered by the Soviet government, and this became the first mass production true fighter in the Soviet inventory. Actually went into mass production in 1946. And this aircraft is upgraded to give you a little more speed than it should have and a little better turning capacity than it should have, because frankly it doesn't turn all that hot. Let's get out of the way of this fellow here, and we'll deal with him accordingly. Now the thing has got, with the various adjuncts that I put on, a 340 mile per hour turn speed. It also comes equipped with a 37 millimeter cannon and two 23 millimeter cannons. Pretty darn nice, especially considering that's just the starting of the armaments. The 23s get upgraded, start with 120 and go up to 170 in the final configuration. 23 millimeter, however, does take some getting used to, as usual. Like most Soviet bombers of the era, or fighters of the era, I should say, they were really designed to be bomber destroyers. This FJ1 has got it all over me in maneuverability, but I've got it all over him in speed. Okay, takes care of that. Do not want to get into that just yet. Well, come to think of it, I've got a good reason not to. Let's get back into it. It's not what I would term a furball fighter. I prefer those to be in the 9-second range. The 37 millimeter does demand, however, that you get a good amount of lead on it to be effective. I chose to take the ignition over the engine restart. I've got somebody on my tail again, and my engines are restarted. All right. Like most of the Soviet armament, when it does hit, it hits very hard indeed. But I gotta be honest, I do prefer the revolver cannons. Come on that 1092 to its armament here. Now the altitude capability on this aircraft is not bad at all, right at 6,200 feet, which means it'll get up to 10,000 feet pretty easy. As you can see, a reasonably effective aircraft. Now if I don't get these bombers, I'm going to lose the base that I worked so hard to get. So let's see if we can make this work out for us. You'd think with this thing's armament, it should be a pretty good bomber destroyer, and by God, it did do the job. Spent all that time and energy making sure that I made this thing fast. There's times and speed is not your friend. Well, we kept the base, which is what I was after.
Receiving reports about rapidly deteriorating weather conditions. Support will be unable to reach you. Do you read me? Over.
And having the air base is nice, but I'd much rather have the that military base.
The enemy has captured the command center. Don't let them gain a foothold. There's a heavy storm here. Unable to proceed. Return to base. Do you copy?
You know, I looked very carefully at the requirements of the aircraft, and I swore I was at 6,800 feet and have no problem whatsoever. Looked like an attacker to me. And it was. That reminds me, I'm going to have to do another video on the attacker. I sure like that aircraft.
They've almost got us.
This thing is more than capable of taking care of itself, which I really like about the aircraft.
Attention all aircraft. Fall back and regroup.
Alright, well, I did okay, but that didn't say much about the rest of the team now, did it? Okay, so we got the summer storm. Let's go back to hangar. We'll take a look at what we got here. And see how we really did. I'll enjoy a swig of coffee here. Well, this is my very first outing with no additional equipment besides the standard stuff, but I have none of the upgrades, I should say. That's probably more accurate. Personals, points of 9570. Assistance in destroying 3 aircraft, and I destroyed 12 by myself, and I was destroyed once. And it didn't have that much to show for it here. Number 1 on my side. We'll take a look at the team score, see how we did. Roderick in the ME-1099B2, I'm going to say probably won the game for them. And I say that because when you ignore attack aircraft, that's always what happens. We killed an awful lot of 1092s, which is one heck of an aircraft. As you guys know, I think highly of it. And that's basically all we have to show for there. Didn't pay enough attention to the ground game. Of course, in a fighter, my job was to kill whatever I ran across and defend areas, which I think I did pretty well. So sometimes you fail, sometimes the team fails. That's all the excuse I'll make. All right, so bottom line here, we did get yeah, that's basically it. About the aircraft, let's take a look at the altitude performance. I'm sorry, I was wrong about the altitude. It is 8202. I thought it was 6202. Well, good. Great altitude. Maneuverability, you're at 11.2 as I've got the aircraft configured. Let's go over the deals that we have with him. He's got maneuver aerobatics expert and aerodynamics expert and marksman 1. And had I the money, which I do not after purchasing the aircraft, I would probably retrain this guy because I really feel like the marksman 1 and marksman 2 are far more important. And then I'd keep the aerodynamics expert as I have upgraded the plane. Right now I have the improved mixture control, which gives the some thrust by 3%, and then emergency and first aid kits. And here's the equipment. I got the improved gyroscopic sight, which gives me 8% to accuracy. The improved polished skin, gives me additional cruise speed and acceleration when diving, and I have the improved engine, which is giving me 3.9 and acceleration without boost, and plus 1.9 and then the 1% acceleration without boost, so 4.5 is what I'm coming here. So I could have gone for more maneuverability. So we took a slight hit to it, and here's the reason why. When we got to airspeed, I got 9.5%, cruise speed is up 7.4%, acceleration while diving is 5.5%, and acceleration with boost activated is 5%. Add all that up to your airspeed here. My cruise speed is 340 on this aircraft. Boost speed is 559, boost duration is 8 seconds, maximum dive speed is 621. So I went a little bit with speed over maneuverability. You could go a totally different way. You could go get the lightweight airframe or lightweight power unit, and you could get the and here you could have gone with the lightweight wing frame, and then you could reduce your time from 11.1. I would think you'd probably get down to probably 10.5, 10.6, something along that line. It's just a choice. As always, I want to hear your opinions, what you think, how this plane should be delivered. I find it fairly effective. Um, and I'll talk about the history some about this aircraft. As you can see, this aircraft really suffered from gas ingestion at high altitudes, where the air starts to get a little thinner, and then you got the gas from the gun exhaust entering in, and it would flame out. And it was a problem they never really solved, but they didn't try too hard. This is their first aircraft. They replaced it with some better engines, uh, but by the time they got the worst of the bugs worked out on the aircraft, and they had built some 610 of these things, a half of which went to the People's Republic of China's army for to defend their airfields against the nationalist Chinese. But the problem they ran into is that they started producing these in 1946. It had some improved variants, and it ran to about 1948. And at that point, everything they did to this aircraft just never measured up to its successor. Now, we have 0 modules on this thing at the moment. We will have to do considerably better to get that. For one thing, the survivability on this aircraft is pretty bad. This is something I expected a Tier 7, Tier 8 fighter, to be honest with you. When you get the airframe, your hit points go up to 420. That's significant, okay? That's really, really nice. The engine will give you this additional boost, additional speed, of course. And then we have these lovely puppies. So you start off here at 120, you jump up to 140, and this is times 2 because you have a pair of them right here. And then you eventually get to 170. And that makes it pretty ferocious. This, unfortunately, stays the same. Now, the damage per second is 290. And, the best you're going to do here is 170 times 2. So, make it whatever you want to. But given my preferences, I'd rather have 3 of the 23 millimeters in this level than I would having the 37 millimeter. But that's, they're being realistic to the history and still listening to me, of course. But that would be my preference on it. Okay, so that being said, I actually applaud them for staying closer to the historical aircraft, but I find lots of things to pick on them for the other. Oh, I was going to mention the upgrades. The reason they stopped trying to really develop this aircraft after 1948 was this baby came along. And anything that this could do better. Okay, it wasn't even close. And so when you go here, hit your upgrades, and you take your, I'll just do it again, didn't I? See if I can get the information up this time. Okay, so when you start pulling this up and you're looking at it, your gun armament is going to be the same 23-37 mashup. You're not going to gain or lose anything by that. Your survivability is going to be 500, so you're going to gain an easy 800 or 80 points over your best configuration you can come in this. Your airspeed is pretty amazing here. With the same setup, you're going to be cruise at 400 miles per hour. That historically is not accurate, and it's one of my biggest complaints in the game is how they have this thing configured. Well, we'll get back to that in a bit. Maneuverability on this is 11 seconds, so exactly the same. And by the way, if you get into a fight with a Sabre in a turn and burn contest, you're going to lose handily because it's got a 9-second turn time. That's a lot in a turn and burn fight. Okay, but it will outrun it. And so when you start looking at all this, you know, the MiG-15 just completely outdid the MiG-9, and nothing they could do to the MiG-9 was going to improve it. A lot of that had to do with the swept wings. A lot of it had to do with the better engine. They actually put an RD-21 engine into this in one of the prototypes, but they still couldn't come anywhere near what the MiG-15 could do. At that point, they said, the hell with it, we're just going to produce MiG-15s and LA-15s. And that's the way they went. Now, as for my big bitch, we all have our particular problems. I go look at a tech tree, and I pull up the F-86. Sorry. Go back to the hangar. And this is one of the things I actually researched very closely. So when you look at the gun armament, you can make a case because 99.9% of the guns of the Sabre line until the F and the H had the 50 calibers instead of the 20 millimeters. Late model Fs, 6 of them exactly, had the M39s. But here is where I get my panties in a knot. Now, neither one of these airspeeds is accurate. First off, let me cards on the table. The actual cruise speed of the MiG-15 was 523 miles an hour. The actual cruise speed of the F-86A was 540 miles an hour. Now, they have to tone things down, or they'd have to make the maps a heck of a lot bigger, because the map's already too small for some of these jets. You can get from one side to the other of the battlefield very quickly, and in the case of the XF-90s, the Swift, the Javelins, they can outrun the map very quickly, and you're bouncing off the edges of the map, and people are killing you because of it. That's not how it should be. They just don't want you running away from a fight. But that one really chaps my rear tail feathers. I'm going to say tail feathers just to be polite. So I got some raw tail feathers over that one. These two aircraft, the MiG-15 and the F-86, were about as closely matched as you could get. The cannon armament was better than the Sabres until they started showing up with the M39s. The climb on the MiG-15 was better, but that it was shorter ranged. The handling capabilities gave an edge to the Sabre, but it wasn't a huge one. It was not a huge one. It just, the higher up in speed you got, and altitude you got, the more the fact that the MiG wasn't really a transonic design, and the Sabre was. And so the MiG handled better at very high speed than the MiG-15 did. That being said, the MiG could outclimb it, and it had the better armament. They're very, very close to one another. And so that bothers me. Now, that has not a whole lot to do with the MiG-9. Let's go back and talk about a little bit about the aircraft. As you saw, the aircraft is more than capable of handling itself. Do not get into it with I could think of 3 or 4 aircraft I wouldn't want to get in a turning contest, but it's a good aircraft. It's well capable of taking care of itself, decent armament, no real upgrades, and it was still handling itself pretty darn well. I'm looking forward to all the upgrades when I get them. It's going to be a while, obviously, but it is a fun, fast plane. It is a nice upgrade from the I-250, which I was beginning to hate. just because I wasn't spending a lot of time ignoring it. There's nothing really wrong with the aircraft, but some aircraft you love and some I don't, and I never really caught into the IT-50 for some reason. Nothing wrong with it, just wasn't me. This aircraft I think I'm going to enjoy flying a lot more. All right, folks, that's going to wrap this one up for today. I hope you appreciate it. Please remember to like the video and to subscribe. If you want to support the channel, you can go to my channel page and go to the About or the Comment section, and you'll find the Patreon links there. If you want to contribute, be a subscriber, please be my guest. You're not obligated to by any means. But that's the money I spend on getting planes to review, such as the, if you want to get any of the premium planes and you want me to get them, you can contribute there a few bucks, and I will save it up until I can justify that I've got enough money to buy it. And that's what I'll go to. All right, appreciate you. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.